aflatoxins, hepatitis B virus, alcohol, and other hidden threats pose risks of liver damage, making liver cancer's prevalence among Chinese people no coincidence. Protecting the liver requires avoiding moldy foods, prioritizing vaccinations, and steering clear of unhealthy habits. Early screening and treatment are crucial, and only through collective action can we build a robust health defense. This is a report about the passing of online entertainer Gluten Brother due to advanced liver cancer. Though it occurred several years ago, it remains a sobering reminder that should prompt vigilance. The news cast a shadow over countless hearts. This entertainer, who once captivated audiences with his distinctive singing style and optimistic persona, was diagnosed with advanced liver cancer after collapsing at home on June 26, 2023. He underwent a liver transplant on July 3 but ultimately passed away just 9 months later, concluding his final battle against the disease. Mianjin's passing has not only plunged his devoted fans into profound grief but also serves as a stark mirror, reflecting the brutal threat this malignant tumor poses to human life. Yet few realize that behind this seemingly isolated tragedy lies a set of alarming collective statistics. Liver cancer is no longer a distant health hazard but a silent killer lurking among us. Authoritative data from the World Health Organization reveals that in 2022, approximately 870,000 new liver cancer cases were diagnosed globally, with a staggering 760,000 deaths recorded during the same period. Geographically, Asia stands as the epicenter of this disease, accounting for 70% of both new cases and fatalities worldwide, making it the region bearing the heaviest burden of liver cancer. More alarmingly, predictive models clearly indicate that without effective prevention and control measures, global new liver cancer cases will rise to 1.4 million by 2040, with deaths climbing to 1.3 million. In China, the situation is even more severe. The latest 2025 data reveals approximately 360,000 new liver cancer cases annually, with over 310,000 deaths. Liver cancer has become the second leading cause of cancer mortality in the country. More starkly, China accounts for 54% of global liver cancer cases. By 2025, new cases are projected to reach 400,000, with approximately 85% of patients having a history of hepatitis B. The Yangtze River Delta and Pearl River Delta regions, due to high hepatitis B prevalence and aflatoxin contamination, have become areas with the highest liver cancer incidence rates. Behind these stark statistics lie the loss of countless lives and shattered families, compelling us to confront a critical question: why does liver cancer disproportionately affect the Chinese population? The answer may lie in the details of our daily lives. Hidden in the corners of many family kitchens, within the frugal traditions upheld by elders, lurk significant risk factors for liver cancer. My grandmother always said, if you spend 30 cents of a yuan, it's no longer a whole yuan. Having managed her household frugally for decades, thrift was ingrained in her bones. Every Lunar New Year reunion, family members would inevitably argue over whether to discard spoiled or potentially spoiled food. Such scenes play out repeatedly in countless Chinese households. Elders often insist that scraping off the mold makes it edible or that it's too wasteful to throw away, and aware that these seemingly insignificant moldy foods may be harboring deadly toxins. Looking back at historical public health incidents, we can see the terrifying power of these toxins more clearly. In 1974, 2 agricultural states in India endured relentless heavy rains during harvest season. The persistent downpours prevented local corn crops from drying properly, leading to widespread mold growth. Local residents, reluctant to discard their hard-earned harvest, cooked and consumed the moldy corn, ultimately triggering a massive mass poisoning incident. Statistics show that 397 people exhibited poisoning symptoms, with 106 tragically succumbing to their injuries despite medical intervention. In a strikingly similar tragedy, Eastern Kenya experienced a comparable disaster in 2004. Over 1,000 residents fell ill after consuming moldy food, suffering severe symptoms including ascites and liver failure. Ultimately, 125 lives were lost. These tragedies, separated by 3 decades and occurring on different continents, share alarming similarities. The core cause of both disasters was the highly toxic substance present in the moldy food. The true nature of this lethal toxin remained unknown to science until over half a century ago. In the late 1950s to early 1960s, a bizarre phenomenon occurred on British farms. Within mere months, hundreds of thousands of turkeys mysteriously perished en masse, drawing intense academic scrutiny. Researchers swiftly mobilized, conducting systematic investigations and experimental analyses. Their focus eventually narrowed to the turkeys' feed. A bag of moldy peanut meal emerged as the prime suspect. Through laboratory isolation, extraction, and chemical structural identification, scientists successfully isolated a potent toxic secondary metabolite from this peanut meal, naming it aflatoxin. This discovery not only solved the mystery of the British turkey deaths but also marked humanity's first recognition of this invisible killer lurking in moldy food. Aflatoxins are toxic metabolites produced by fungi such as Aspergillus flavus and Aspergillus parasiticus when they infect host crops. They are classified as Group 1 carcinogens by the International Agency for Research on Cancer (IARC) of the World Health Organization, with sufficient evidence of carcinogenicity in humans. Its distribution is extremely widespread, commonly found in various agricultural products and food matrices, with the highest contamination rates observed in green and oil crops such as corn, peanuts, millet nuts and cottonseed. Market supervision data from the past 3 years indicates that nuts like peanuts, walnuts, almonds and pistachios are the highest risk areas for aflatoxin contamination, making them the most common sources of exposure in daily life. Currently, over 20 subtypes of aflatoxins are known, with the most common being B1, B2, G1, G2, and M1 among these. Aflatoxin B1 is the most toxic and widely distributed. Its median lethal dose LD is only 0.36 mg per kilogram body weight. 1 mg can induce cancer, and a single intake of 20 mg can be fatal. What makes it even more insidious is that once aflatoxin B1 enters an animal's body, it can be metabolized into aflatoxin M1. This contaminant then spreads across the food chain, polluting animal-derived foods like meat, eggs, and dairy, further compromising human health defenses. As a proven potent carcinogen, exposure to aflatoxins has a clear causal link to the development of hepatocellular carcinoma. Research from the first affiliated hospital of Zhejiang University School of Medicine indicates that long-term low-dose exposure to aflatoxins can increase the risk of liver cancer by 5.8 times. Qizhuang in Jiangsu Province and Fuzhou in Guangxi were once high-incidence areas for liver cancer. The warm and humid climatic conditions in these regions provided an ideal breeding ground for Aspergillus flavus. A specialized inspection report on Fuzhou County's grain and oil products revealed that 69.7% of local corn samples were contaminated with aflatoxins. In villages where corn is the staple food, the annual liver cancer mortality rate among residents is 3 times higher than in other regions. This data starkly and cruelly confirms the carcinogenic hazards of aflatoxins. Yet in daily life, many still cling to a false sense of security, believing that not all moldy food contains aflatoxins, so ingredients shouldn't be discarded indiscriminately. While this perspective may hold some validity from a resource utilization standpoint, it reveals significant limitations when viewed through the lens of food safety. The reason lies in the fact that aflatoxins cannot be detected by the naked eye. Some foods may appear perfectly intact on the surface, yet their interiors are already deeply contaminated by toxins. More critically, aflatoxins possess exceptional thermostability. With a decomposition temperature as high as 268 degrees Celsius. Common cooking methods, frying, or even high-pressure sterilization cannot effectively break down or eliminate these toxins. This means that no matter how processed or treated, toxins will persist in safe moldy food, eventually entering the body and causing ongoing liver damage. Therefore, when financially feasible, the safest approach to minimize health risks is to discard moldy food outright. While this may seem wasteful, it is actually an effective safeguard for life and health. Beyond the overt threat of aflatoxins, the hepatitis B virus lurks as a hidden danger to liver health. For individuals born in the 1960s and 1970s, surviving a lifetime without developing liver cancer is exceptionally fortunate. This conclusion stems not only from the relatively primitive grain storage technology of that era, which exposed populations to higher risks of aflatoxin exposure, but more critically because these cohorts' youth coincided with a period of widespread hepatitis B virus HBV prevalence in China. Hepatitis B, formerly known as viral hepatitis B, is an infectious disease primarily affecting the liver, caused by the hepatitis B virus. It spreads mainly through non-oral routes such as blood and bodily fluids. Clinically, it manifests primarily as fatigue, loss of appetite, aversion to greasy foods, and abnormal liver function. Some cases may also present with jaundice and fever. Epidemiological data indicates that prior to the 1980s, China's HBV carrier rate reached 9.75%. With over 120 million infected individuals. This vast infected population laid significant groundwork for the subsequent high incidence of liver cancer. Against a backdrop of limited health knowledge and diagnostic capabilities, HBV transmission proved difficult to control effectively. Infected mothers could vertically transmit the virus to newborns during childbirth, with unvaccinated infants facing a 90% risk of infection. The carcinogenic mechanisms of HBV primarily involve two core pathways. First, viral DNA can integrate into the host genome, disrupting normal gene expression and inducing cellular transformation. Second, viral infection triggers chronic inflammatory responses in the liver. If the liver is likened to a continuously operating metabolic factory, the hepatitis B virus acts as an invading disruptive factor, persistently disrupting the liver and undermining its normal physiological functions. Clinical data indicates that approximately 80% of liver cancer patients also exhibit cirrhosis symptoms. However, hepatitis B virus infection has unique characteristics, as some cases can bypass the cirrhosis stage and directly induce liver cancer. More alarmingly, when both aflatoxin exposure and HBV infection coexist, they produce a potent synergistic carcinogenic effect, dramatically increasing the risk of liver cancer, a lethal 1+1 to impact. Fortunately, with advancements in China's healthcare sector and improvements in public health systems, significant progress has been made in HBV prevention and control. With the inclusion of the hepatitis B vaccine in the National Immunization Program, the prevalence of HBV carriers in China has steadily declined. The 2020 National Epidemiological Survey on Chronic Viral Hepatitis revealed that the HBsAg prevalence rate in the Chinese population has dropped to 5.86%, with approximately 75 million existing chronic HBV carriers. Notably, the HBsAg prevalence rate among individuals aged 1 to 4 years is only 0.30%. This shift underscores the critical role of hepatitis B vaccination in preventing transmission and effectively reducing the risk of LVR cancer among younger generations. On July 28, 2025, during the 15th World Hepatitis Day, China launched the slogan "Social Co-Governance to Eliminate Hepatitis," setting the clear goal that viral hepatitis will no longer be a public health threat by 2030. To achieve this goal, a series of concrete measures are being implemented. From 2025 to 2027, the hepatitis B vaccination rate for newborns must reach 95%. The screening rate for hepatitis B among residents aged 8 and above must reach 50%. And the screening rate for hepatitis C must reach 70%. From 2027 to 2030, the treatment rate for chronic hepatitis B must reach is greater than or equal to 80%. The treatment rate for hepatitis C 90%. And mortality rates from cirrhosis and liver cancer must decrease by 30% and 20%, respectively. These targets provide clear direction for China's hepatitis prevention and control efforts, offering hope for eliminating the threat of hepatitis. As the threat from the long-standing adversary of hepatitis B virus gradually comes under control, a new liver killer has quietly emerged: alcohol. Among those born in the 1970s and 1980s, alcohol consumption is highly prevalent. Some individuals, compelled by work-related social engagements and gatherings, engage in long-term drinking without realizing that alcohol is gradually eroding their liver health. Clinical studies indicate that HBV infection alone typically does not cause significant liver damage, with approximately 60% of carriers showing no clinical symptoms. Whether HBV progresses to liver cancer is closely tied to environmental factors. Without additional interventions, the progression from HBV infection to liver cancer takes about 10 to 20 years. Chronic alcohol abuse can significantly shorten this timeline. A meta-analysis published in PubMed revealed that compared to non-drinkers or light drinkers, daily consumption of 12 grams of alcohol, approximately 1 glass of beer, increases the risk of liver cancer by 1.08 times. Risks rise to 1.54 times with 50 grams of alcohol daily, so to 5.20 times with 125 grams of alcohol daily. Furthermore, when alcohol coexists with hepatitis or diabetes, a synergistic carcinogenic effect occurs, subjecting the liver to multiple blows. Alcohol's damage to the liver stems from toxic substances produced during its metabolism. The liver is the primary site for alcohol metabolism, processing over 90% of ingested alcohol. During this process, the liver expends significant energy while producing toxic intermediates like acetaldehyde. These substances directly irritate liver cells, trigger inflammatory responses, and promote fat accumulation in the liver. Long-term exposure can lead to a spectrum of diseases, including alcoholic fatty liver disease, alcoholic hepatitis, and cirrhosis. Data from the Global Burden of Disease study indicates that alcoholic liver disease ranks among the top 30 causes of death globally. Annually, approximately 2 million people die from various liver diseases, with half of these fatalities directly attributable to alcoholic cirrhosis. This data clearly demonstrates that alcohol has become a major global threat to liver health, making reduced alcohol consumption a crucial measure for protecting the liver. In recent years, as younger generations born in the late 1990s and 2000s gain greater social influence, traditional drinking culture has gradually declined, and alcohol consumption demand has shown a downward trend. In youth social settings, except for special occasions like weddings, beverage choices at gatherings have increasingly shifted toward non-alcoholic drinks. This shift toward healthier lifestyles subtly reduces the burden on the liver. However, two other unhealthy habits are emerging as new risk factors threatening liver health: staying up late and high-sugar diets, both particularly prevalent among young people. Modern medical research confirms that liver cell gene expression exhibits distinct circadian rhythms, with the liver requiring self-repair during nighttime sleep. Chronic sleep deprivation disrupts this natural physiological rhythm akin to forcing a machine meant for rest to operate continuously. This ultimately diminishes the liver's detoxification capacity, increases metabolic burden on hepatocytes, and elevates the risk of fatty liver disease. If staying up late is accompanied by late-night snacking, especially on high-fat, high-oil or high-sugar foods, it further exacerbates liver damage, effectively adding insult to injury for an already fatigued organ. It is crucial to note that the development of fatty liver disease is not directly linked to body weight. Its core pathogenic factor is metabolic disorder. Currently, metabolic-associated fatty liver disease (MAFLD) has become the primary cause of chronic liver disease among adults globally, with a worldwide prevalence of approximately 32.4%. Nearly 30% of China's population is affected, and the number of patients is projected to exceed 314 million by 2030. Among the causative factors of MAFLD, type 2 diabetes stands as the most critical risk factor. Both conditions share a close association through common pathological mechanisms such as obesity, insulin resistance, and dyslipidemia. Clinical data reveal that among patients with radiologically and histologically confirmed MAFLD, the prevalence of type 2 diabetes is 22.51% and 43.63%, respectively. The essence of this phenomenon lies in the fact that hyperglycemia, hyperinsulinemia, disrupted fat metabolism, and chronic inflammation triggered by type 2 diabetes collectively form the pathological basis for liver cancer development. Furthermore, disrupted fat metabolism is often accompanied by visceral obesity. Excess visceral fat secretes large amounts of inflammatory factors, which continuously stimulate the liver, inducing chronic inflammation and thereby increasing the risk of liver cancer. China now has over 200 million obese individuals and more than 100 million fatty liver disease patients, with significantly elevated HCC risks among these groups. This reality presents new challenges for liver health prevention and control. To address these challenges, relevant health education and intervention measures are continuously advancing. For World Hepatitis Day 2025, specific liver protection tasks were proposed for different groups. New mothers should prioritize prenatal checkups and newborn vaccinations. Community hospitals now offer expedited birth and vaccination services. Parents can scan QR codes to schedule appointments. Working adults should add liver function tests and ultrasounds to their pre-employment physicals. If fatty liver is detected, immediately adjust diet and exercise routines. HBV carriers must undergo 6 monthly checks for HBV DNA, alpha-fetoprotein, and ultrasound to detect liver cancer early. Seniors over 60 can proactively undergo hepatitis C screening even during breaks from square dancing. Those with hypertension or diabetes should prioritize antiviral drugs that spare kidney function. Business owners can include liver function tests and ultrasounds in employee health packages, costing just over 100 yuan per person yet yielding employees' health and vitality throughout the year. These targeted recommendations provide concrete, actionable plans for liver health protection across different demographics. Based on the analysis of these multiple risk factors, individuals who regularly stay up late, consume alcohol, or have diabetes or obesity should undergo regular liver health checkups. This is crucial for the early detection of liver abnormalities. Although over 80% of early-stage liver diseases show no obvious clinical symptoms, and routine liver function tests and abdominal ultrasounds have diagnostic limitations, such examinations can still capture early signs of liver disease. For instance, fluctuating elevations in alanine aminotransferase ALT and aspartate aminotransferase AST levels may indicate potential hepatocyte damage or inflammatory responses. Even a mild decrease in albumin levels, even within the normal reference range, could represent an early, subtle manifestation of liver fibrosis. Beyond routine physical examinations, specialized tests such as liver computed tomography (CT), lipid profile analysis, and liver elastography can more accurately assess liver health and provide a basis for early intervention. The early detection window for liver cancer exceeds 5 years. Due to its insidious onset, many patients miss the optimal treatment window by the time of diagnosis, with over 60% of liver cancer patients losing their surgical opportunity at diagnosis. To enhance early diagnosis rates, multiple tumor marker tests are clinically employed. Serum alpha-fetoprotein AFP serves as a common and critical indicator for diagnosing primary liver cancer and monitoring treatment efficacy. When AFP levels reach is greater than or equal to 400 micrograms L, high suspicion for primary liver cancer is warranted after ruling out relevant confounding factors. However, it is important to note that false negative results can occur with AFP. Elevated AFP levels may also be observed to varying degrees in certain benign conditions, such as active hepatitis or liver cell repair. Therefore, physicians typically schedule multiple tests to dynamically monitor changes in AFP levels. Additionally, serum alpha-fetoprotein isoforms and abnormal prothrombin can serve as early diagnostic markers for primary liver cancer, particularly in individuals with negative serum alpha-fetoprotein results, thereby enhancing the accuracy of early diagnosis. A common misconception in clinical practice is the belief that hepatitis B small 3 positive cases require no special intervention. In reality, patients with this profile may still experience liver inflammation and fibrosis progression, necessitating further assessment of liver status through tests like AFP. For hepatitis B carriers, biannual monitoring of hepatitis B DNA AFP and ultrasound serves as an effective strategy for early liver cancer detection. Even for patients cured of hepatitis C, while the risk of liver cancer decreases by 85%, those with cirrhosis must still undergo biannual ultrasound and AFP testing without complacency. Beyond medical examinations, liver lesions also send warning signals through a series of bodily indicators. With careful observation, these distress signals can be detected. Pain in the liver area is the most common symptom of liver cancer, often presenting as persistent or intermittent distending pain or dull ache in the right upper abdomen. When a lesion invades the diaphragm, the pain may radiate to the right shoulder or back. Additionally, symptoms such as abdominal distension, fatigue, and decreased energy may indicate abnormal liver function. Patients in the early stages of cirrhosis may experience mild edema in the lower limbs. As the disease progresses, patients develop typical symptoms like ascites and sudden weight loss. Abnormal bilirubin metabolism causes jaundice, manifesting as yellowing of the skin and sclera. Severe liver failure may trigger hepatic encephalopathy, presenting with altered mental status, decreased attention, personality changes, memory loss, or even coma. A common complication of end-stage liver cancer. As hepatitis B progresses, patients may develop multiple complications. Beyond intrahepatic complications like cirrhosis and hepatocellular carcinoma, severe extrahepatic complications may arise, including secondary infections, upper gastrointestinal, 不一定 and hepatorenal syndrome. Secondary infections are common in severe hepatitis, advanced cirrhosis, and late-stage primary liver cancer. Frequent infections include spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, pulmonary infections, intestinal infections, biliary tract infections, and sepsis. The mechanisms of upper gastrointestinal bleeding include reduced synthesis of coagulating factors due to severe liver dysfunction, thrombocytopenia caused by hypersplenism, and esophageal gastric varices resulting from portal hypertension. This is a common complication of chronic severe hepatitis and cirrhosis, manifesting as skin petechia, ecchymosis, bleeding from various body cavities, and even intracranial hemorrhage. Hepatorenal syndrome often represents the terminal phase of severe liver disease, frequently triggered by severe infection or bleeding. Primary manifestations include oliguria or anuria alongside electrolyte imbalance. The emergence of these complications not only exacerbates the patient's condition but also increases treatment difficulty, further threatening the patient's life. The progression from chronic liver inflammation to cirrhosis and ultimately hepatocellular carcinoma typically spans 10 to 30 years, though some cases may advance within 5 to 10 years. The speed of progression is closely linked to the persistence of liver-damaging factors. In the early stages of liver inflammation, timely intervention can achieve complete reversibility of the disease. Once it progresses to moderate to severe fibrosis or cirrhosis, reversibility significantly diminishes. Therefore, liver cancer prevention and control should adhere to the principle of prevention first. Early diagnosis and treatment. Early diagnosis and timely intervention can halt disease progression, which is key to reducing liver cancer mortality. Currently, clinical treatment for liver disease primarily relies on oral medications, with treatment plans tailored to individual disease types. For viral hepatitis such as hepatitis B and C, antiviral therapy is the core treatment. Antiviral drugs like entecavir effectively suppress viral replication, reduce viral load, and mitigate liver damage. For hepatitis B patients with comorbid hypertension or diabetes, clinicians prioritize antiviral medications that are renal-friendly, addressing both hepatitis B treatment and the management of other conditions. Traditional Chinese medicine also plays a significant role in hepatitis prevention and treatment. Recent clinical observations indicate that adding Suquan pills combined with Zhejian Qinlan Tong to antiviral therapy helps reduce the incidence of liver cirrhosis and esophageal variceal bleeding by up to 37%. For metabolic-associated fatty liver disease MAFLD caused by type 2 diabetes, metformin is the clinically preferred first-line medication. As the world's most widely used first-line treatment for type 2 diabetes, metformin effectively controls fatty liver disease by improving insulin resistance. Beyond medication, dietary adjustments are crucial for liver disease recovery. For chronic hepatitis B patients, dietary restructuring is essential. Maintain balanced nutrition daily by consuming high-protein, low-fat, easily digestible foods rich in both animal and plant proteins. Calorie intake should be sufficient to maintain a healthy weight without excess, as overconsumption may lead to fatty liver disease. Avoid excessive sugar intake to prevent diabetes onset. Moderate consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables is encouraged, while alcohol consumption is strictly. As the only organ in the human body with regenerative capacity, the liver relies on adequate nutritional support for repair. Nutrients such as protein and vitamins can be obtained through daily diet. Among the specialized nutrients required for liver repair, polyunsaturated phosphatidylcholine (PPC) has garnered significant attention. PPC exhibits strong lipophilic properties, with a molecular structure similar to that of cell membrane phospholipids. Rich in unsaturated fatty acids, it protects hepatocyte structure and phospholipid-dependent enzyme systems, promoting the restoration of impaired liver function and enzyme activity. It also regulates hepatic energy balance, promotes liver tissue regeneration, converts neutral fats and cholesterol into metabolically accessible forms, and stabilizes bile. Available in both injectable and oral formulations. The injectable form is applicable for various liver conditions including hepatitis, chronic hepatitis, hepatic necrosis, cirrhosis, and hepatic coma, while the oral formulation aids in improving liver damage caused by multiple factors, as well as symptoms like loss of appetite and right upper quadrant pressure in patients with fatty liver disease and hepatitis. A multicenter retrospective observational study on Chinese patients with metabolic-associated fatty liver disease demonstrated that polyene phosphatidylcholine significantly reduced fibrosis scores at 24 weeks, improved alanine aminotransferase ALT, total bilirubin and low-density lipoprotein cholesterol levels at 24 weeks, demonstrates efficacy in slowing liver fibrosis progression, by stabilizing hepatocyte membrane structures, reducing enzyme leakage, and promoting lipolysis, thereby aiding in the repair of damaged liver tissue. For patients with end-stage liver disease, liver transplantation represents the last lifeline. Currently, most countries globally source liver transplant donors primarily from brain-dead or cardiac-dead donors, i.e., cadaveric liver transplantation. Additionally, living donor liver transplantation exists, where donors are typically spouses, direct relatives, or collateral relatives within the third degree, who meet regulatory requirements. China's organ transplantation technology ranks among the world's most advanced. Yet organ scarcity remains the primary constraint on liver transplant procedures. China's organ donation rate per million population is relatively low, with a notable gap compared with that of some Western countries. Many end-stage liver disease patients miss their final treatment window due to the inability to obtain a matched donor liver in a timely manner. Globally, Iran is the only country where organ sales are legally permitted. The nation began performing living donor liver transplants in 1997, with organ transactions restricted solely to its citizens. Foreign patients seeking liver transplants in Iran must provide their own living donors and can access one-stop services through official channels for visa processing, accommodation, and surgery scheduling. Taking a surgical center in Iran as an example, the cost of a liver transplant is approximately $30,000, covering surgical fees, pre- and post-operative examinations, hospitalization, translation services, and related expenses. While Iran's liver transplant services offer significant procedural convenience, this model of legalized organ trade remains unrecognized and unadopted by most countries globally due to ethical controversies. To address the shortage of donor livers, modern medicine is actively exploring xenotransplantation techniques, focusing on pigs whose organ size and physiological functions closely resemble those of humans. In 2024, a Chinese research team completed the world's first gene-edited pig liver transplant into a brain-dead human recipient, followed by another successful procedure in 2025. In both procedures, the genetically modified pig liver successfully replaced human liver function after transplantation into brain-dead patients. Post-surgery, patients demonstrated robust recovery of cardiac and hepatic function, with vital indicators such as blood perfusion and bile secretion returning to normal levels. This breakthrough provides crucial reference for the clinical application of xenotransplantation and offers new hope to countless patients with end-stage liver disease. However, we must also recognize that xenotransplantation currently faces numerous technical hurdles, including organ compatibility and immune rejection. Achieving large-scale clinical application will require long-term research and exploration. The development of liver cancer is never the result of a single factor, but rather the combined effect of multiple factors such as exposure to aflatoxins, hepatitis B virus infection, alcohol consumption, and unhealthy lifestyle habits. From the passing of gluten brother to the alarming statistics, we are gradually realizing that liver cancer is never a sudden act of God, but rather a man-made disaster resulting from long-term neglect of health details. It lurks in moldy corn, at drinking tables filled with toasts, in late nights spent binge-watching shows, and in high-fat, high-sugar late-night snacks. Protecting liver health requires attention to every detail of daily life. When encountering moldy food, discard it immediately without any hesitation. Prioritize hepatitis B vaccination, especially for newborns and high-risk groups, as timely immunization is an effective means to prevent transmission. In social and professional settings, cultivate a healthy attitude toward alcohol consumption. Aim to drink less or abstain altogether to minimize liver damage. Develop consistent sleep patterns to avoid chronic sleep deprivation, allowing the liver sufficient time to rest and repair. Simultaneously, maintain a balanced diet, engage in moderate exercise, and manage weight to reduce the risk of fatty liver disease and diabetes, thereby decreasing the liver's metabolic burden at its source. Furthermore, regular liver health screenings are crucial for early detection of liver abnormalities. Whether you are a hepatitis B carrier, have fatty liver disease, or belong to high-risk groups like chronic drinkers or night owls, follow your doctor's advice for periodic liver function tests, liver ultrasounds, and alpha-fetoprotein AFP screenings to ensure early detection, diagnosis and treatment. For the general population, incorporating liver checks into routine physical exams is also advisable to proactively monitor liver health. Hepatitis prevention and control is never the responsibility of any single individual. It is a systemic endeavor requiring collective societal participation. Under the 2025 World Hepatitis Day slogan Social Co-Governance to Eliminate Hepatitis, governments, medical institutions, enterprises, and individuals all bear significant responsibilities. Governments should further improve public health systems, enhance health education, outreach, and advance vaccination and disease screening programs. Medical institutions should elevate diagnostic and treatment standards to provide high-quality healthcare services. Businesses can include liver function tests and ultrasounds in employee health checkups to monitor staff liver health. Individuals should cultivate health awareness, proactively learn liver protection knowledge, and adopt healthy lifestyle habits. As traditional Chinese medicine states, the best physician treats disease before it occurs. For liver health, prevention is the best cure. The liver, a vital metabolic organ, functions like a silent detoxification machine safeguarding our well-being, and we owe it to ourselves to cherish it. From avoiding spoiled food to keeping regular hours and cutting down on alcohol, every small healthy choice protects the liver. Only through collective societal action prioritizing liver protection and actively implementing preventive measures can we effectively reduce liver cancer risks. This will accelerate achieving the goal of eliminating viral hepatitis as a public health threat by 2030, enabling more people to live healthy lives free from the threat of LIVR cancer.